and then like you decide to take this to users, and then if you get it, it'll turn it back on. Yes.
All right, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay, good. Okay, we are kicking it back to Algebra 1. We are learning how to factor trinomials. We will get progressively more advanced, but today I wanted you to get comfortable with being able to do this. This is a very demanding topic that Chav needs to make sure you know how to do before you enter his class next year. So you need to be able to factor trinomials almost in an instant. Okay, but let's do some groundwork together, right? What is the factor form of this? Now, when you were in Algebra 1, some of you, I taught you the X game. Some of you that took Gonzalez for Algebra 1 might have been taught some other way. But we are going to learn a brand new way that I feel is much easier for you to comprehend, and that is much easier for you to conceptualize, right? All going back to box method. Now, let's review what the box method did, right? We know that each one of these individual squares within the box is the multiplication of the terms out here, correct? Yes. Okay. We notice that also within the box, this one and this one, we didn't have to add them at all, correct? Right? They were just the product, right? We know that this part right here, this x squared, went right there, and that my my constant went right over here, correct? If you didn't know that, that is where they belong when we are factoring trinomials using the box method. That is where they go. Okay, so then here's the idea. What two things or what two terms will multiply to give me x squared? This is what I call the reverse box method. So thinking of it conceptually. What are those two terms? X times, yes, x times x. Wake up, everybody. You need to wake up. We definitely need to be on top of it. At least know this part. Okay? Now, let's review. I need to figure out what multiplies to give me negative 18. So we need to factorize real quick. We have negative 1 times 18. And then negative 2 times 9. Correct? But when they add up, I need them to give me positive 3x. Will it give me 3x? Hold up. I'm not sure if I have the right one. Oh, I'm sorry. There's one more factor. Negative 3 and 6. Now, remember, whenever we did box method, we combined these two because they ended up being like terms, correct? So, when I picked the factor, I need to be strategic, right? This is also a combination of what we call guess and check, right? You guess which one of those factors will multiply to give me 18 and add up to give me positive 3x, right? So in this case, it looks like this is my desired factor tree, or factor pair. So negative 3 and positive 6. Now, if you didn't know, for example, if you didn't know which one was the negative, well, what's your result have to be? It has to equal positive 3x. let's say I was not paying attention and put the put it as -6 and put this as +3. Well, I still end up with -18, correct? But I end up with 3x here and -6x here, which when they add up will give me what? -3x, right? But that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for +3x. So that's how I know that I need to switch my signs. And then my final answer, x plus 6, x minus 3. Right? Because we're going from this one trinomial to two binomials. That is the goal of today. Going back to Algebra 1 and being able to factorize this super quick. Oh yeah, they're flipped. I just never flipped them myself. Right, because now when I add them, what do I get? X squared plus 6x minus 3x minus 18. X squared plus 3x minus 18, which is my original answer. This is why I like this method, because there's a lot of checks along the way for you to see if when you factorize this, you end up with your original answer. So that's why I like this method a lot. Box method plus guess and check. Are we okay, everybody? Okay, walk me through the next one then. We're going to do it together. I'm going to draw my box. What goes on the top left square? X squared. And what goes on the bottom right square? 16. Okay? Well, what times what will give me x squared? X times x. Good. Okay? Now I need to find my factor pairs for 16. 1 and 16, 2 and 8. As you progressively go through all of these practice problems, you're going to see patterns. You're going to see, okay, I know that 1 and 16 would be absolutely useless for me, but I know that 2 and 8 would work. And 4 and 4. Why would 2 and 8 work? Okay, well, what if I put 2 here and I put 8 here? 2 times x gives me 2x. 8 times x gives me 8x. X squared plus 2x plus 8x plus 16 really simplifies to our original answer, which means that the answer for this, the factored form, is x plus 2, x plus 8. This is kicking it back to Algebra 1. We are in Algebra 1 mode. Can I answer any questions? It doesn't matter. Why? Because what operation is happening to both? What operation is happening here? Multiplying. So it won't matter which one we do. Now, I think another question that you might have asked, and I might have not been asking the right one, is why didn't I put 8 up here and 2 right here also? Does it matter in this case? No, it doesn't matter because the result will be the same. I end up with 8x over here, and I end up with 2x here.
Would it only matter if it was like negative?
Yes, there are some instances where it does matter, and we are going to walk through them together so that you can understand why it would matter in some scenarios, but in other scenarios it won't matter. Jen, what do you got?
So when you say like the way you answer, like what is the factor form, it would be the parentheses x plus 2 and then the x.
Correct. That is factored form. That is the answer. And that is what Delta Math will accept. Also, everybody, for some SAT prep, if you were asked the factored form of this and you needed a quick check and you happen to be in the multiple choice section of it, all you got to do is plug this in and this answer choice into Desmos. If they're right on top of each other, that means they are the same. And boom, you found your factored form. The idea is to write an equivalent expression. That boxed one is an equivalent expression to this in factored form. I'm telling you now that Chav spends time teaching this in his class, and it is time to stop spending time in his class teaching it. You need to know how to do it now. You need to be instant when you do it. Or not instant, but at least when you see it, okay, let me factorize it. Why? There are going to come some scenarios, whether you take pre-cal and especially when you take calculus. This is a tool that you use to see if there are other connections that you make. And you need to sharpen this tool to the max in order for you to be successful and for you to really use it correctly. Okay? I'm curious. Try this one. What is the factored form of x squared plus 2x minus 80? I'll give you 90. Now I'll give you 2 minutes. Go. All right, buddy, here we go. Answer. X minus 8, x plus 10. Jess, how do we feel? Can I answer any questions? Please ask. I'm inviting you to ask questions if you don't understand, and it's okay if you don't understand. I'd rather you figure it out now rather than ask questions next year. Okay, perfect world. A is equal to 1, or the leading coefficient is 1. Great. It's so easy. What if the leading coefficient is not 1? For example, what if I end up with 5x squared plus 8x plus 3? Well, the steps aren't going to change. The steps are going to remain the same. So let's do it. Same thing, open up a box, and you know that 5x squared goes here and 3 goes here. Take a look at the leading coefficient. Is the leading coefficient prime or composite? Prime, meaning that what two numbers are the only two numbers that multiply to give me 5? 1 and 5. 1 in itself, right? So the first one's easy. 5x and x will multiply to give me 5x squared. How are we okay? Can I answer questions here? So I know that 5x times x will give me 5x squared. Beautiful. We still need to ask ourselves, okay, what two numbers multiply to give me 3? Well, that's pretty basic, right? 1 and 3. Now, this is where it does matter. Strategically, where is it the most convenient for me to put 1 and 3? For example, if I were to put, this is why we call this the guessing check. Because what if I put 3 and 1 right here? Well, I end up with x, I end up with 15x. If I add both of these two up, will I get 8x? Absolutely not. So strategic here, I'm going to flip them instead. I am going to put 3 right here and 1 right here. Here I end up with 3x. I end up with 5x here. Let's add it up. 5x squared plus 3x plus 5x plus 3, which adds up to give me my original trinomial. So that means I factored this correctly. 5x plus 3 times x plus 1. Aisha.
Why? Oh, never mind. I just answered it.
Well, ask it anyway.
Because I was going to ask why you put the 5x plus 3 in its own parentheses.
At first, yeah, because I'm multiplying this. If I were to multiply these two and put it back in the box method, I should end up with this. Remember, everybody, this is why I wanted you to do your delta math, right? Because in your delta math, when we multiplied, we started with this and ended up here. Today we are reversing. We're going from this back to its original. Believe it or not, this is the beginnings of dividing polynomials. This is an intro, a small intro into dividing polynomials. But we'll talk about that later. Okay? Great question. Can I answer any other questions? Beautiful. Okay. I want to do this next one. I'm sorry that it cut off. I don't know why it's cutting off. This is 2x. This is 11. This is 15. I actually want you to try it. See what you come up with. I'll give you 2 minutes for this. If you want me to check, I will be walking around. Grr. What's my answer? Yeah, what's my final answer? Just wanted to clear that up. Hold on. Yep, that's right. I don't know what that is. It's almost looking like perfect square. The arithmetic. Okay, so in this case, think about it. If we go down all the integers, right? 1 is going to go to the plus 2 times 15. This 2 go into 15. This 3 go into 5. This 4 go into this 5 go into yes. But if you're done. That's it. There's nothing more you can do. Those are all the factors. Think about it. Okay, right, that's if I were to put 15 here and then 3 over here, I'd end up with way more than 11x. Right, so it's thinking about that, guessing and checking. Okay, you know? Chess. Perfect square red. I don't know. All right, everybody, here we go. Two x squared, 15, 2x and x. Everybody, this is why I feel like your elementary skills should still be. I had a conversation with a junior that is refusing to do their times tables. This is why your times tables are important, right? Like, what two numbers multiply to give me the number that I'm looking for, right? For 15, there's only two options, 1 and 15, 3 and 5. And if the numbers repeat again, then you stop, right? In this case, I don't think that 15 is a right option, 1 and 15. I feel like that would give me too big of a number. But let me try 3 and 5, okay? Let me try 3 here and 5 here. I end up with 5x and 6x here. Looks like that works. 2x squared plus 6x plus 5x plus 15 gives me that. So then my answer is 2x plus 5 times x plus 3. Are we okay, everybody? Yes, this is why still being able to factor, super important. Okay? How do we feel? Do we feel okay? Would we like one more example of this, or should we turn up the heat? One more of this. Okay, I'll give you 90 seconds now. You should be able to do this in 90 seconds. If you have it, I'll check for it right now. All right, everybody, here we go. Here is my final answer. 3x plus 5 times x plus 2 gives me the factored form. How do we feel, everybody? Good? Okay. That is technically level 1 for this type of problems. We're just going to skip right into level 3. Okay? Now, Here's the problem. The leading coefficient is no longer a prime number. It is a composite number. So now there's more options. So now more guessing and checking is needed in order for you to be successful. Because there are factors for the number 4. And I have, what? Okay, we're going to skip this third one. Okay. Let's look at the box. 4x squared and plus 5. What two numbers multiply to give me 4x, or what two terms multiply to give me 4x squared? There are two of them. It could either be 4x and x, or it could be 2x and 2x. Either one of those two. At this point, you need to go through the work to see which one is convenient for you, which one plays to your advantage. For now, let's try and guess and see if 4x and x works. What two numbers multiply to give me 1 and 5? 1 and 5. Sorry, I said 1 and 5. What numbers multiply to give me 5? 1 and 5. Right. Okay, so then that means I have to figure out whether positive 5 goes here or positive 1 goes here. Okay, we'll end up with 5x and 4x. Do they add up to give me negative 12x? No, okay. So then maybe I should switch the signs of my factor, because there's a dark side to this, correct? There is another factor pair that multiplies to give me positive 5. What is it? Negative 1 times negative 5. Exactly right. That also gives me positive 5. Okay, let's see if by switching the negative sign, or the sign, we end up with a different answer. This is negative 4, and this is negative 5x. Do they add up to give me negative 12? No. I'm thinking, just for my sake, let's just not use 4 and x. Let's use 2x and 2x. See what we get. Let's still use, the factor still remains the same, right? Negative 1 and negative 5, let's use that. Let's see if that works. This is negative 10x. This is negative 2x. Wait a minute, it looks like we found it. Right? Because 4x squared minus 10x minus 2x plus 5 will simplify to my original equation. Which means that 2x minus 5 times 2x minus 1 is my answer. And again, this is where just a lot of guessing and checking is going to come into play. Would y'all like to try one on your own? This is one that me in first period got stuck on for a little bit. So I'm curious to see what you come up with. What is the factor form of 6x squared minus 37x plus 35? For this one, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. That should be more than enough time for you to figure it out.
So when you say you got
Go.
stuck on it.
Yeah, we couldn't figure it out for a moment. But there is an answer. There's a clean answer. I assure you. No, I'm telling Julian that that's not correct. Check again. Start with your first term, 6x squared. Where am I looking at? Yep, that's right. I'm going. Raise your hand and come check it. Come check again. Check this term. Where are you getting those cookies from? Yeah. Okay. Yes, that's right. Good job. Why wouldn't you split it? No, I'm just asking. That's not the first time I've seen that type of thing. I'm not. Yes, go. So what's the answer? Yes. All right, everybody, here we go. Let's come back. For those of you that kept working through it, you would have realized that 2 and 3, 2x and 3x would not have gotten you some type of correct response. That's why whenever I saw some of you that had it, I told you, look at your leading term, right? Because what we should have realized was that 6x and x was a much more convenient term. We need something to multiply to get us to negative 37 at some point, right? Like when we multiply, negative 37 is our idea. So we need a big number, right? Factors for 35, there's only 2, 1 in 35, 2, Lord. 5 and 7. However, we need to get it to negative 37, so I really should use the other version of it. So negative 5 times negative 7 will still give me positive 35, but it'll allow me to add to negative 37 at some point. Then the third part, okay, where do I put them to give me what I'm looking for? Negative 7 times here and negative 5 right here wouldn't have worked, right? Or actually, will they? This gives me negative 30, and this x, and this gives me negative 7x. Yes? Which means that after I add everything up, it should give me back to this. So 6x minus 7 times x minus 5 will absolutely work. Are we okay, everybody? All right, we're going to skip problem number 3 because problem number 3 is on your Delta Math. These two are not in your Delta Math, unfortunately, but they do provide you some good practice. What is a factored form for 8x squared minus 14x plus 3? I'll give you 3 minutes for this one. No, 2.5. I have put the answer up on the board. I'll give you a few more seconds for you to check and for you to do your work. Yeah, this one was a bit tougher because there's a couple different multiples for the leading coefficient, right? There's 1 and 8, 2 and 4. So making your decision between both of those is kind of tough. But again, guess and check. Which one is going to play out to your advantage? If you're finished, work on the other one. Now we're working on this one. All right, everybody, here we go. So here is the answer for the last one if you wanted a quick check. Okay? That is what I have for you. This is part one. I have decided to cut what we were going to do fully because I want to make sure you have a good handle on this. Make sure you are working through this. I will have several of you on Wednesday, so we'll continue this back up on Wednesday. Okay? There's PSAT testing for 8th and 9th grade. And I'm not proctoring, so we'll be here Wednesday. Okay? All right, everybody. For those of you that have Delta Math working fine, work on your assignment.